Victor Wembanyama has been incredible to start his rookie season. Through 21 games, he's averaging 18.8 points per game, 10.6 rebounds per game, 2.6 assists per game, 1.2 steals per game, and 2.8 blocks per game on 43.1, 25, 80.9 splits, and a 51.7 true shooting percentage. Obviously, he hasn't been perfect. He's had his ups and downs, but more times than not, he's showcased the elite intangibles and rare talent that made him viewed as the best prospect since LeBron James. In this video, I want to talk about how special Victor has been, what's impressed me, what I believe needs work, and just how terrifying his upside is. But quickly, before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways that can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama. What has stood out to me the most when watching Wemby play is how absurd of an athlete he is. We truly have never seen an athlete move the way he does at that height. His flexibility is truly absurd. It makes no sense that he's as flexible as he is at 7'5". He's incredibly fluid as a mover in terms of lateral movement skills. And again, we just haven't seen a player this tall move the way he does. He doesn't have the stiff movement and lack of lateral mobility that most tall players have. I'm going to use Kristaps Porzingis as an example to explain what I'm talking about. Kristaps is one of the few players who kind of compares to Victor in terms of height. He stands at 7'3". Victor's closer to 7'5", but comparable enough. And with Kristaps, he's a pretty good explosive athlete. He's someone that can get up. I never question his ability to jump, but you definitely notice stiffness and you notice lack of flexibility that really limits him in terms of self-creation to an extent. Now, he does make up for it with pretty good skill, but when you watch him play, you do notice that the lack of flexibility and the lack of fluidity do somewhat hold him back a bit. Now, Victor doesn't seem to have those problems. He's, again, absurdly flexible. I will say that the one thing that needs to catch up with his flexibility is his body control, but considering how young he is and how fast he probably grew, that's common to see some uncoordinated plays. But overall, I've just been incredibly impressed with how flexible he is, and I think that's something that will help him long term in terms of his long-term durability. And I think that's something that was better focused since he was really young, knowing that he was going to be really tall, to make him as flexible as possible so he can avoid injuries to an extent and really have a long career. Victor's rare combination of height, flexibility, lateral fluidity, and quickness is part of the reason he was viewed as a generational talent entering the NBA. But it's more than just about how rare of a physical specimen and athlete he is. It's also about the skill and intangibles he has as a player, and that starts with his defense. Wemby's defense is truly hard for me to put into words to describe how absurd it is, because he isn't the traditional type of defensive big you expect from somebody that's 4 inches shorter than him, let alone as tall as he is. He's not simply a drop big paint defender. He's not just a shot blocker. He's capable of those things. In fact, I think he's incredible at those things. But where he brings his most value on defense is as a defensive playmaker. At 7'5" with an 8-foot wingspan combined with absurd lateral fluidity and good foot speed, Victor has the defensive range that literally covers the entire half court. There isn't a play he isn't capable of affecting. If he's at least within 8 feet of the opposing player, he can massively affect the shot. And I'll put this into perspective for you. The NBA classifies 4 to 6 feet of distance between the defender and the offensive player as open, and classifies anything beyond 6 feet of distance between the defender and offensive player as wide open. Victor Wembanyama completely violates that line of thinking. And in all honesty, he's truly breaking the conventional basketball logic in terms of what's considered open and what's not considered open. So Trae Young is going to go downhill on this play. He's one of the quickest guards in the league, and Victor is going to leverage his length and his 8-foot wingspan to be able to drop back, selling the idea that he has given Trae enough space to get his floater off, but when Trae goes up for the floater, he doesn't even have a chance. But it's not just blocking shots, he's just an absolute game wrecker on defense in general. He plays passing lanes, he has active hands, he forces offenses to change their game plan because they have to worry about this 7'5", 8-foot wingspan freak athlete that can do whatever he wants to wreck their game plan. He single-handedly stops fast breaks, and he just makes life miserable for opposing offenses. While Victor is clearly a special defensive player, he's also a special offensive talent. Although it's definitely something I have a different perspective on compared to his defense. With his defense, I view it as something he's already really good at, and with polish, he could be the best defensive player in basketball within the next 1 to 3 seasons. However, while I believe Victor has the upside to be the most dominant offensive player in the NBA one day, he's a lot more raw and has a lot more room to grow and develop. Let's start with the one area Victor has been efficient at, and that's been at the rim. He's shooting 69.8% at the rim on 5.5 attempts per game, and when you watch the tape, it's very evident that he's just too big for opposing defenses. Combine that with incredible flexibility, a functional handle, an aggressive mindset, and shooting touch, you get the baseline for a dominant paint scorer. He does need to get stronger, but just based off his skill, height, and arm length alone, he's nearly impossible to stop at the rim, so I can only imagine what it's going to look like when he does add that strength. In terms of everything else about his offense, I think you have to separate it into 2 categories: reality and projections. Here's the reality. Victor isn't a good scorer in terms of efficiency outside of at the rim right now. He shoots 33.6% on 5.7 non-rim 2-point attempts per game. He shoots 25% on 5.1 3-point attempts per game. He's in the 8th percentile in terms of non-rim 2-point efficiency. He's in the 4th percentile in terms of 3-point efficiency. So he's clearly been bad in these areas so far. But what has led to this, and should you be concerned about it? Let's start with what's led to this, obviously. It's really just things that all young players go through. Shot selection and adjusting to physicality. You just watch a play and sometimes it's like, okay, you're capable of this, but was that the best shot to take? Which is something I say a lot when watching the tape of young players, especially ones with as high of a usage and responsibility as Victor does. And in terms of physicality, he's like 7'4", 7'5", and he weighs anywhere between 210 to 220 pounds. It still needs to add more functional strength, and he's only 19. So the reasons he's struggling with his efficiency outside of at the rim are really reasons I'm not too concerned about, because all young players go through it. And as he gets acclimated, the efficiency will get better. As he gets stronger, the efficiency will get better. So I do think it should be known right now that he's not good at those things, but I also don't think it's a major area of concern, considering a lot of other really talented young players have gone through the same thing, and he just has so many outlier gifts and intangibles for me to believe that these areas will get better as time goes on. A lot of what I've said about his scoring, I also believe applies to his playmaking. He has flashes of vision and feel for the game, but he isn't without flaws, definitely has some tunnel vision, definitely makes some wild decisions as a playmaker. But I see the signs for somebody that can grow into a really valuable playmaker, because you look at his natural scoring gravity already, just based off his physical tools that are hard to match up with. He's already drawing help defense whenever he touches the basketball. and that's only going to expand as he gets stronger and his game as an offensive player becomes more polished. I think this is somebody that will be able to find an open teammate potentially on every play in the future as he gets better. If Victor hits his 100th percentile outcome as a scorer, or even gets close to it, he will have the scoring gravity to create endless advantages for those around him because teams aren't going to be able to stop him 1v1. That's the kind of playmaking potential he has. Now, we will have to capitalize on those playmaking advantages that he creates, but he has shown enough for me to believe he has the room to be that guy in the future. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a 5 to 8 assist per game player at some point in his career. Victor Wembanyama has a ceiling that truly knows no bounds. There isn't a ceiling for this type of player because we haven't seen a player like this before. We have to base our expectations off things that aren't really realistic because honestly, this isn't a realistic player. It shouldn't be realistic to be as good as he is and have the upside he does. A 7'5" player that moves like a guard and has showcased legit upside as an off-bounds creator, as well as defensive range that covers the entire half court. When you look at what he is as a player now, he's already good. He already draws help defense. He's already a massive problem for opposing offenses. And that's the scary part. He doesn't even know what he's doing yet. He still hasn't put it all together, which makes the idea of how good he's going to be once he does figure it out terrifying. And if he does put it all together, he's not going to be a player that's really good. He's going to be a player that's unstoppable. And he's going to be able to stop everyone at the same time. He's worth every bit of the hype. He's worth every bit of that generational talent label that he's gotten. When we talk about the best possible outcomes for his NBA career, we aren't talking about potentially one of the best players in the league. We're talking about potentially the best player in the league. We aren't talking about one of the best players of his generation potentially. We're talking about potentially one of the best players ever. That's how good he could be. Now, it's no guarantee that he becomes that good. Only time will tell, obviously, but he has all the tools to be that great. And it'll be interesting to see how he develops over the next few years, because every step of his development will be like something we've never seen before, and that's why I'm so excited to cover his NBA career. But that's the end of this video for me to this point. Thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, notify whenever I release a video. I'm making videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Victor Wembanyama in the comment section below. Also, sorry for the lack of uploads recently. I've gone 4 days without uploading. I've been traveling. I'm finally settled in, so I'll be back getting uploads out more consistently. You can check out the community tab because I did give you guys an update on the new uploading schedule per se. Maybe not like daily uploads like you guys have been used to, but still consistent uploads. But the videos are going to be a bit longer. They're going to be higher quality, so can't wait for you guys to see that. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.